Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the webinar. And we've got a great webinar for you this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are, with four terrific panelists for you, whom I will introduce in just a moment. So if the panelists could all come in, that would be very cool. But before we start, just want to very briefly run through some housekeeping issues for the webinar. This is a panel, so we really want everyone's input. And there are two ways to ask a question of the panelists. The first is you can ask a question live via your microphone. So if you look at your control panel, there's a piece here where you can click on the icon to raise your hand. We will then unmute you and you can then ask the question live. The alternative is to type in a question via the question module, and we'll pick up on those questions and point them at the most relevant panelist. So do please ask questions, do get involved. This is a very important topic for us all. Many people have said to me that they feel because of the current situation, they're beginning to lose partner mindshare. And this is all about how you can maintain and indeed increase partner mindshare. So let me now introduce our panelists to you. And the first is Kenneth Fox. Kenneth is an accomplished leader with over 20 years experience in the channel. He's got a master's degree in software. He transformed Channel Mechanics from a startup into an award-winning SaaS provider that's really truly disrupting channel program execution. He's passionate about enabling customers to get the most from their partners. And in his spare time, like many parents, he is a non-stop taxi service to his 4 children. So Ken, tell us a little bit briefly about Channel Mechanics.
Thanks, Rod, and good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Great to have such a bit large audience on. So Channel Mechanics, we're a born-in-the-cloud company, and our sole purpose is to help vendors and distributors who go to market through the channel enable their partner programs. And we do that through various integrations with platforms like Salesforce. And we place ease of doing business for your partners at the center of everything we do.
Excellent. And our second speaker is Chanan Greenberg, and he's the Senior VP and General Manager of Technology for Model N. Chanan, over his career, has focused on helping companies maximize profitable revenue and channel engagement. He's been an SVP and GM with Model N for 15 years, and prior to that held a number of roles within the industry in terms of marketing and corporate strategy. He's worked with over 100 companies on pricing and channel initiatives. Prior to Model N, he was the CEO and founder of Privia, who were focused on government contracting, servicing companies like Boeing, Lockheed, and Raytheon. And he was also CEO and chairman of Click Online, focused on online and multimedia product development for customers, including Microsoft, HP, and IBM. So, Chanan, very briefly, tell us a little bit about Model N. And I think you're muted.
No longer. I just realized I need to update that bio picture. Anyway, great to see everyone here and to be with this distinguished panel. Model N is a 20-year-old software company based in Silicon Valley. We service 2 market verticals. We focused on the life sciences market, where we service pharmaceutical and medical device companies, and in high tech, where we focus on some sub-segments of high tech, including semiconductor components, electronic or consumer electronics, and storage devices, wireless and networking. These are the main areas that we focus on. We really help these companies optimize their revenue, going across pricing through to channel initiatives, and within the channel, we're focused on providing rebates, MDF, and channel data management solutions. That's it.
Fabulous. And our third speaker is Heather Margolis, and she's the chairperson and founder of Channel Maven. Heather is the founder of the company and also the founder and CEO of Spark Your Channel. She's a recognized channel marketing expert and sought after keynote speaker. And Heather is passionate about enabling vendors and driving revenue through channel partners. She spent several years in channel programs and marketing for major companies like EMC, EqualLogic, and Dell before starting her own business in 2009. She's a proud alumni of Babson's MBA program, and Heather grew up in Massachusetts and now calls beautiful Boulder home, where she lives with her husband and fellow entrepreneur Simeon and their 2 daughters and dog Zoe. So Heather, tell us a little bit about Channel Maven.
Thanks so much, Rod. Great to be here. And thanks everyone for joining. The numbers are great. Channel Maven really focuses on better engaging partners on the vendor's behalf. So we really help vendors better communicate to their partners without bombarding them through social and engagement and newsletters and events and virtual events, as well as educating partners and internal teams like channel account managers on demand generation, and then also supporting vendors through demand generation with their partners. So content, education, materials, and marketing automation, or excuse me, managed marketing services and marketing concierge.
Excellent. And our fourth panelist is Kristine Stewart, and she's the VP of Client Success and Marketing at Channel Impact. She's a partner success thought leader with an in-depth understanding of vendor needs in today's service-driven economy. She's focused on the transformation of go-to-market strategies to support XaaS, recurring revenue business models, and ensuring that partners are profitable extensions of their client success. She spent over 25 years in the IT industry in executive roles in channel marketing and sales in companies like Western Digital, SMC, Hitachi, Adaptec, and Rovi. And she's a 13-year veteran of Cisco, held numerous global roles there, including ownership of a $1 billion+ sales target in an extensive 132 country theatre. So she's got plenty of air miles still banked up. And she's a frequent speaker at IT industry and channel specific events, a member of channel advisory boards and CompTIA's executive committee on advancing tech talent and diversity. So Kristine, tell us a little bit about Channel Impact.
Thanks, Rod. And yes, it's very nice to be here and glad we have such great attendance. And next time I definitely need to shorten up those bullets. That was a bit too long, I think. Channel Impact is a full service channel specialized focused firm for consulting, and the framework and the foundation of our business is around channel staffing and augmentation, which is very prevalent and very required by a lot of our clients today. So we really pride ourselves on having a broad community of employees that are channel careerists in each of their fields, whether that's channel marketing, partner communications, partner analytics, virtual event management, just anything that any of our clients might need. We provide those folks out there to work on staff with those clients today. And in addition, we do all sorts of strategy work and things around, creating content, doing concierge work. We're doing a lot of work for virtual event management right now, but basically end to end. We've spent a lot of time just recently trying to help a lot of our partners, if they haven't been selling cloud solutions before, to work into a practice for selling recurring revenue-based solutions. So that's our focus.
Super. And before we start, we thought it would be really interesting to get a feel for the group on the call. So we're going to start with a couple of polls. And as I say, as we get into this, please do ask those questions. This is your webinar, not ours, and we want to really respond to the questions you have. So our first poll is, as a result of the COVID crisis, Has the budget available to your partners for sales and marketing remained the same, increased, decreased, or are you not quite sure? So please pop those buttons in, give us your answers. We'll keep the poll open for a few more moments. We've got about 65% of people on the call have voted. So this is the budget that you have available to your partners for sales and marketing. So has it remained the same, increased, decreased, or you're not sure? Keep moving. Almost everyone has voted, so I'm going to keep the poll open for another few seconds. So for anyone that hasn't quite pressed that button, now's your chance. And we're going to close the poll and share the answers. So for 37% of us, the amount of money we have available for our partners has remained the same. For 5%, it's increased. For 44%, it's decreased. And 15% of us are not quite sure. So let me start with you, Heather. Any thoughts on the results of the poll?
I think those that have decreased, it's obvious that they're trying to be conservative and they're not sure where their business is going in the next 3, 6, 12 months. Those that have remained the same or increased are definitely doing what's best for their partners. Right now, even if partners see a decrease in revenue, it's now the time to be filling the pipeline and out there and engaging prospects and being there as a resource and as a thought leader, even if those prospects don't yet have budget.
Okay. Ken, do you want to come in with any thoughts?
Yeah, so just, I suppose, I see some of the vendors we work with have, left the budget the same, but some of, partners are actually struggling to use it, believe it or not, because, there is no travel, there are no events. So, trying to gain those partners mindshare, the vendors really need to work with them to use the budget they have, to move them onto things like we're doing today, webinars, to help them in different ways than they previously did with their marketing funds. So while, the poll says it decreased, I don't doubt it did, but you have to use the money that's available now in very different ways. And we're even seeing some people struggling to use the funds they have, which is quite interesting.
Okay. And Chanan, do you want to come in on this one?
The only thing I'd add to what Ken and Heather already said is that it really depends on two things. One is the end markets you're servicing. There are certain end markets that are more impacted than others in the current pandemic environment. And so it only stands to reason that you would see a real decrease because it is a real decrease. There are other situations like the one that Ken just illustrated where you're not exactly sure how to operate in the new environment, or there is a slowdown and companies want to align the expenses with that slowdown. And that actually might be a missed opportunity because this is actually a good time to engage, sometimes do some shuffling in the channels and better enable them to operate in this environment, and actually staying with current budgets and maybe sometimes increasing is sometimes better long-term strategy.
Excellent. Kristine, any final thoughts on this one?
Yes, the only thing I would add is that, again, we see our vendors really trying to find more unique ways and more very, very focused ways to utilize those dollars, right? So handling marketing campaigns differently, handling the way that they give out MDF, focusing on partners that are wanting to focus on very specific solutions that are applicable to the, pandemic environment that our customers are in today. And I'm sure we're going to get in later to, but a little bit about what some of those programs look like. So I'll leave it at that.
Excellent. Okay, and we have questions starting to come in. We'll get to those in just a moment, but let's ask our second poll. So this is the second poll. What is your biggest challenge in gaining partner mindshare? And the first is breaking through the clutter of all the communications our partners receive. I don't know how that got cut off there, but there it is, breaking through the clutter of all the communications our partners receive, the quality of our partner database, targeting the message at the relevant people in the partner's organization, creating the right message for my partners and others. So again, One is breaking through the clutter of all the communications our partners receive. And number 3 is targeting the message at the relevant people in the partner's organization. So if everyone could click on those now. Okay, we've got about 75% of you have voted now, so keep those votes coming in. Leave it open for another 10 seconds to allow the last few people to vote. Okay, just pop those votes in now. And Caleb, if you would like to show us the answers. So for 50% of us, our biggest challenge is breaking through the clutter of all the communications our partners receive. 3% of us, just a very small proportion, seem to have a problem with the quality of our database. Targeting the message at the relevant people in the partners organization is an issue for 19%, and creating the right message is 25%. So let me go in reverse order. Kristine, would you like to comment briefly on this?
Absolutely. You know, we just got done, actually, we're releasing a paper tomorrow where we talked to about 14 different vendors and, you know, what they were doing, what kind of changes they were making based on this new environment. It touches a bit on all of these, right? So several of them are using this time to update their automation platforms, right? So that they can better target the message. But if you don't know the right people to target it to, that's the problem. So several of them, specifically, I can say Cisco, AppDynamics, Checkpoint, Splunk, are working very hard at establishing those partner personas and having a wide variety of those so they can send out content very specific to what that role at the partner requires, whether it's the owner, whether it's the tech person, whether it's the seller, whether it's the marketing person. So you're getting past the clutter, you're getting to the right person in the right role, and you're sending them a message about a task, specifically something that they'd be interested in. So much more likelihood that they'll read it and that they'll utilize it.
Okay, Chanan, do you want to comment on this one?
Sure. I think that it's not terribly surprising that the clutter is a problem, and I think the clutter has always been a problem. I think that on the backdrop of today's economy, the clutter becomes maybe a bigger problem because people don't know what to focus on. And when you're communicating so much out to them about product lines, about initiatives, about marketing materials, about incentive programs, you can drown a channel very quickly. And I think that being selective and coming up with insights that are meaningful to how the channel conducts their business and where they focus their efforts are a way to address that. Because if you start with a penetration point which is meaningful to the channel about how do they do something differently with insights you're providing them, you will be able to then guide them down all the supporting data you want to communicate about to them, but in a more structured way rather than dumping it all on them from all different directions.
Okay, Ken, any thoughts to add to this one?
Yeah, you know, I think the 50% in reality is even higher from what we hear. You know, the Foresters and Gartners always tell us, you know, certainly in the tech sector, partners will work with between 7 and 12 vendors. So you can imagine, you know, the competition for getting their mind share, the bombardment of emails and all the rest. So I think this is truly where, you know, automation comes into play. You know, don't, you know, stop sending partners emails, give them a much easier way to interact with you. You know, share with them through your portal, have a dashboard, how they're doing against their targets. And that's equally importantly internally as it is partner facing, because often we find account managers struggle to know where to focus their time and energy of their accounts, who's doing well, who needs help, and certainly in the current climate. So yeah, you know, beyond that, not really, rather, you know, that's nothing to do with the current climate. That's an ongoing problem that vendors face all the time.
Okay, and Heather?
I would absolutely piggyback on what most of the folks have said. I would add that it's more about engaging partners on a personal level. So that means empowering your channel account managers to be able to better connect with them, ensuring that the partners feel like they have the mind share of your top channel executive. And maybe that means, you know, hijacking that executive social handle and engaging partners via LinkedIn so that they feel like they have a personal relationship with that person, as well as just getting bombarded by emails. So ensuring that things are aggregated, and if you are emailing, and that you're leveraging things like social.
Excellent. Okay. And as I say, I've got a number of questions coming in. So if I could start with the first question, and that is, have you got examples of relevant communication messages? What is resonating with partners today? Heather, do you want to step in on that one?
I would say please stop using the terms unprecedented and COVID-19. Like we're through it. This is now the new normal. And stop saying new normal. And let's really start talking about what's going on in their business. So people are starting to come out of the woodwork, things are opening up. It's important that partners have the resources they need and they understand that vendors get what they're going through. So put yourself in the shoes of a small business or a salesperson at a GSI or GSP and think about what they are going through on a day-to-day basis. Make things easy.
Okay. And Anne, do you want to come in on that one?
No, actually, I have nothing to add to that. I agree with everything Heather said.
Okay.
That's why I like you so
Anyone?
much, Chanan.
Way to go, Helen.
Ken or Kristine, any thoughts?
I've got a quick one in the. Sorry, Ken, if I jumped over there.
No, go ahead.
Just a quickie to follow on with Heather. As far as exactly, these partners, they want something simplistic and they want to have something kind of new and usable that they can, new content they can focus out. We've got several clients right now asking us to do kind of partner listening events. This is not something new, but they want to do it on a more regular basis because things are changing quickly, right? So a lot of partner surveys, even to the point we had one client ask us to do a survey with their alliance partners and do a full 360. So like 90 interviews with 10 partners, and then the channel chief comes back to them with messaging and you know, stays interacting with them on a quarterly basis so that we know what these partners are thinking, because it is evolving quickly, and that we're giving them, because many of them are saying, I want a campaign that's very specific to a type of solution, and I want a campaign that's got a place for me to insert my solution and my story in there at the right point.
Ken, you wanted to jump in on this one?
Yeah, just a couple of simple things I've seen done in the past few months where, you know, just supporting partners in very basic ways, just even helping them with things as simple as webinar technology. I've seen that done successfully, helping them in different ways, you know, moving into different verticals, helping them quickly transition into verticals that haven't been impacted. So just, you know, a couple of things like that I've seen vendors do very successfully.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I've got another question coming through now. What is, and I guess there's no definitive answer to this one, what is the most effective way to communicate with partners at the moment? Is it email, webinars, virtual events, newsletters? What actually is working? Who wants to jump in on that one?
I'll jump in on that. So I 10 years ago, when people thought social was just about what you had for breakfast, I taught a class in how to use social for B2B. And someone said to me, okay, great. Now what can I take off my plate? Like, I've added this, what can I take off? And unfortunately, none of it, because a certain percentage of your partners want the newsletters and email, a certain percentage want the social, a certain percentage want the webinars. And a lot of times one will remind the other. So if you sent a newsletter and at the moment the partner was too busy to open it, but then they saw a few minutes later, a few hours later, they were on LinkedIn and saw a post about it, it reminds them to go back to that email. So we're actually seeing when vendors use social to communicate to partners that their open rates and click-through rates on email go up as well. I would say video, if there's a medium, video. People want to feel like they're seeing a human.
I've got a quick add-on to that. we're loving video right now. We're hearing a lot of requests from our clients around that, and to exactly your point, Heather, because about the personalization aspect, and you can do it very quickly, right? So one client, actually SAP Dynamics, they are doing kind of a Netflix-like episodic, series out to their partners. So they'll do like a new 7-minute video every 2 weeks on everything from, some MDF process to some kind of new enablement to a new campaign they're getting ready to launch. They incentivize the partners to watch it, and then they leave it loose as far as, so they can pivot quickly on new topics. And we've got another client that's doing something like sending out a short executive video to a partner exec or team before they meet with them, so they kind of see a short video, have that personal experience, and by the time they do the actual phone call with them, they already know what they want to talk about and they can effectively use the time.
If I can add to that, I think you want to think about communications in different buckets, because there is communication in the context of marketing and sales, and I know everything that Kristine and Heather just said applies, and I'm not going to repeat that. But there are other types of communications. The communications in the context of enablement and training. There's communications in the context of more transactional information around incentive programs, etc. And there is really no uniform way of doing all of it, and you need to adapt each platform or each tool you're using for the different context. And I also think that to the first part that Heather was saying, we are seeing a generational change in the channel, and so they have a preference which is different from the previous generation. That's why social is so important for, the millennials who are now starting to become the leaders in the channel.
Mm-hmm. Ken, any final thoughts on this one?
Yeah, just very briefly, I add to what the guys have said is, I think less emails. What I see, say at the programmatic level, like Chanan just said, what really helps them is, a very simple visual dashboard of how am I doing against my program. That really helps them. It's a picture tells 1,000 words, right? The old, thing of that. So that's very helpful to partners to quickly consume that information.
Okay, got another interesting question coming in. Everyone's talking about, the question is, everyone's talking about relationships. Have you seen any really cool ways your vendor partners are using today's situation to build really good relationships with their partners? So has anyone got any great examples of things that they're seeing?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of one of the ones that I touched on it earlier, but just helping their partners in a very hands-on way transition to sell into different verticals than they traditionally had. Obviously moving out of things like, say, transport into tech or whatever it might be that is not impacted by COVID-19. I've seen 2 or 3 vendors we work with have run very successful programs where they ran webinars. They quickly got them trained up on those. They gave them grace periods to qualify for their program and stuff like that. Just really supportive of their partners to quickly get them into new verticals to help them over the challenging times.
We've seen a lot of our. Oh, sorry, hold on.
No, go ahead, please.
We've seen a lot of our clients and helped a lot of our clients who were still doing their partner summit, the virtual, send out sort of a survival pack with a mask and some sanitizer and maybe an alcoholic beverage. I can't say, but things that will sort of help better personalize things and engage. We've also seen a lot of our vendors give the product away for free for a little bit. Like, if this is something you need to better secure you just sent everyone home. Nobody's laptop is encrypted. Nobody's Wi-Fi is secure. If these are things that you and your customers need to do better for the next 3 months, here it is. So that's been huge.
I really like a personal touch. Going down the path of what Ken was saying and just expanding on it a bit, it's also providing them with the insights, because if you think about the vendors, the suppliers, they're in a very advantageous position where they see information across multiple theaters and across multiple channels, and they know what's working, and they can see where certain channels are struggling, whether it's with a specific product line, whether it's a specific end market, and they are in a great position, and the more forward-thinking ones do this, to give these insights to the channel, whether it's to go and focus on a specific end market, or whether it's to focus on specific subsets of customers within that market that are still more likely to buy or have better margins, or products that are currently more in demand, and help steer them. And I think that the partners are very appreciative of that sort of insight coming from their supplier, from their partner, from their vendor in a more prescriptive way.
I would add one, and I'm guessing probably all of you guys have come across this, that several vendors now are changing their MDF programs such that, you know, they're not just purely based on revenue or purely based on you've got to put a proposal in to say what you're going to do, but instead actually allocating budgets, you know, for some amount of their partners, letting them know that they have that budget for a period of time ahead so that they can plan on it. They know that it's there. Of course, they're asking them still to come back with the assessment and metrics on how it performed, but the partners really appreciate when they know what money they have in advance. They know that they've got some cool campaigns and they can start planning as a team and utilize that best.
Okay, and I have a live question also coming in from a lady by the name of Kelly Moranis. So Kelly, I am about to unmute you. Feel free to ask your question. Kelly, you're unmuted. Silence. Kelly, are you there? Okay. The wonders of modern technology.
Home technology.
Hey, we all make a living off it. Don't knock it.
I've got another question here, which has been typed in as opposed to a hand going up live, and that is one of the panelists talked about the partners dealing with 7 to 12 vendors. Any specific thoughts on how we can differentiate our message?
Yeah, I'll go first, Rod. That was me that mentioned that. So that's a fairly, you know, well-researched number that, you know, the Foresters and the Gartners publish regularly. You know, if you think about just on the email side, and I know emails are still very important, but, you know, if you're a partner and you're getting emails from, let's say, even 5 different vendors, that can be challenging to keep up and sift through all of that. You know, a quite effective way to deal with it is, again, you know, have a fairly basic partner portal that has dashboards, let's say, that they can see, you know, simple things like what's my targets, how many MDF dollars, like Kristine mentioned there, or if you extend their MDF to, you know, the end of the year, they don't have to use it in the current climate. All of these good kind of things. How am I doing against the program? How are my certifications doing? So really, again, making it easy for that partner to do business with you. And again, another analyst stat is, you know, price, brand, and ease of doing business are pretty much neck and neck as the top 3 items that partners value when they look at you for a vendor relationship. So think of that ease of doing business. Imagine it's equally as important to partners as price. Okay.
I would just add that people do business with people, not necessarily logos. So yes, of course, if all of their customers are requesting your products, they're going toward you. But if they have a personal relationship with a channel account manager at a different company, they're still going to try to incorporate those products and solutions. So if your channel account managers, if your channel executives can start connecting with those partners and their prospects on social and then interacting with them. So reposting a partner's video or ebook or posting something about their site or retweeting something they've done, that's going to go really far to make the partner feel like they have a close relationship with you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think if you give a,
oh, sorry, go on, Kristine.
I was just simply going to say, if you do have that relationship with a partner, whether it's through the partner account manager or even through the marketing person, that you have a serious discussion with them about where their value add is and how they want to tell that story, and can tailor something. You can't do this for every partner, but can tailor something specifically to give them that insertion for their value add, or very specifically for their services add. They are very appreciative of that.
Okay, and I have another question here, which is coming in. how has today's market changed the way companies are using incentives? And I guess, Chanan, you and Ken are probably well able to jump in on that one.
So I think there is more scrutiny. If you think about the first poll question you put up there about decreasing spend, I would not be surprised if one of the first places people are cutting in the budget long before they are starting to cut back on people is on programs. And program money normally translates either into MDF money or into rebate money. Sometimes it falls into also price protection schemes and other things like that. And I think that the overwhelming thing that I do see is there's a lot more scrutiny right now over the validations, even in the early phases of creating the funds and approving them. You know, the finance department is always has been traditionally skeptical about how effective these programs are. Out of the 500, if you're going to one of the really big multi-billion-dollar vendors who are doing 500 or 1,000 rebate programs and MDF programs in any given moment, which one of them is moving the needle? Which one of them is free money for the channel? There's a lot of sensitivity to that in general, and so being able to have some more accountability on the approvals of those programs, and then being able to close the loop at the end of the program and start mapping back with what happened in the market, that we can actually correlate to that. And that's sort of been the crystal ball that everybody's trying to get to. There are today ways to actually measure that very effectively, of tying in channel data, the point of sale, the inventory, back to the MDF programs, back to the rebate programs. And what I'm also seeing, another big change I'm seeing, is that the programs themselves are becoming very, very narrowly defined. Instead of a broad base, sell $1 million of my stuff and I'll give you 2 points on rebates, it is, you know, yeah, I may still have that program out there, but here's a new program that says that if you go and sell for this tier of customers, specifically these particular product lines, I will pay out a 6-point rebate. That's a 3x, you know, 3x payout for the channel. That is starting to grab the channel's attention because you're now directing them to where you want them to focus their demand generation efforts and their sales activities. And when you do that, when you create these very narrowly defined programs, it also becomes much easier to measure their results. So I'm seeing more scrutiny on the front end and more specificity in the program designs that we're seeing being rolled out.
Okay. Anyone else? Ken, do you want to come in on that one?
No, I think Chanan has covered it really well. We see, you know, very similar to that. It's, you know, basically being able to try and influence behavior, because there are so many of these incentive programs out there. It's, you know, how do you tune them to what's most effective? And I would say, you know, partners really do find these programs important. They are important for their, you know, keeping them going in these times as well. So they do really value the rebate programs. But again, you know, if you think about, you know, nothing to do with COVID-19, but the switch to SaaS or the monthly recurring revenue, we definitely see the needle has been changed dramatically in terms of vendors focusing on the high percentage payouts on those. And certainly as they want partners to partner with them for those first couple of years to move from on-premise to cloud and switch to the monthly recurring revenue, that's a big drop in revenue for partners for that period. So we see vendors paying anything, you know, up to 15%, and in some cases higher, for that period to help them with that transition.
On top of that, I got a second question on that one, and that is, are we seeing any difference or changes in the way vendors are structuring partner rep sales incentives?
Yeah, I was going to say it on the answer to the last question, but I kind of left it. Well, I have definitely noticed in the past few months the number of those types of, you know, we call them spiffs, both internally and externally, have increased dramatically. I don't know if everybody is seeing that, but we have certainly seen multiples of these being run compared to what was being run, say, up to Q4 last year. So really targeting individuals in the channel, both internally and externally. And I cannot say it's down to COVID-19, or they don't seem to be. I don't know if it's just a trend. So, you know, I'm not sure again what the the rest of the team are seeing.
And anyone want to jump in? What sort of incentives are being used there? Is it purely financial? Are there other things? What are people offering?
What I see primarily in tech companies that are providing product, not service, I definitely do see it, that's still focused on the financial side. And to add to what Ken said, I'm not just seeing the spiffs, but I'm also seeing an investment in the quality of data. Because these payouts, these commissions to the salespeople is highly reliant on the quality of data that comes in from the channel, and that always has some massaging that needs to happen to it, and also the timeliness of that data. And so I am seeing some companies move from whatever they were doing, with their homegrown tools to more established solutions for channel data management to really assure timeliness and cleanliness. I'm talking about targeting goals of 98 to 99% accuracy on the data, because that is what assures them that they can, on a timely basis and very accurately, pay out their salespeople. They don't want to deal with the adjudication and the complaints of salespeople that they didn't get paid correctly or things like that. And especially in this time, they are seeing a sensitivity to that. So one of the core problems is the quality of data, and I am seeing more initiatives in fixing that.
Anyone else want to come in on that one?
Yeah, so sorry, I just point out that a lot of the ones you were saying there, what kind of ones? People are using this time to do a lot of training. So I see a lot of those types of, spiffs for taking training, using this time wisely to, do that, because a lot of that training can be done remotely, right? So just, it's something we see a lot of people doing right now. And rewarding them really quickly. So trying to pay them literally the day they get the cert, because that's what they remember. If you pay them a month later, they don't really remember what it was for.
Okay, and bouncing off that, maybe Heather, you can come in on this one.
Sure.
Any really good tips on how to engage with rather than the partner themselves, but their actual sales team?
Absolutely. So I agree with what Ken said. The training right now is incredibly interesting to partners, because for years we've been trying to train them how to do demand gen and how to socially sell and how to do all of these things. And they said, yeah, I get all my business through word of mouth. And now they're saying, how do I get more business? What was all of that you were telling me for the past decade? So they're really paying a lot more attention to that. As Ken said, it can be done virtually. I would say for so long, we've talked about through channel marketing, when in fact we need to talk about that and through channel sales enablement. So ensuring that the salespeople at the partner have the resources they need, have the education, have the videos, the podcasts, all of the things that they can also co-brand with their own contact info and send that out as well. The people are, again, they want to engage with a human, not just a larger brand. So if that salesperson has the relationship, that's how you're going to get in.
Kristine, do you want to come in on that one?
I'm right with Heather as usual on this one. In particular, video, very simplistic focus, unless we're going to the technical side of selling, giving somebody new enablement, but things that are very focused on new solution sales. I see a lot, and it goes back to the incentive side too. A lot of vendors really pushing the, teaching those sellers on the partner side and even the execs on the partner side about what it really means to sell on customer lifetime value and what kind of level engagement and examples of how to do that engagement. And at some point now, being able to provide them with, sharing, PRM insights and the ability to know exactly when to go in during that customer's journey and talk to them and what to talk to them about, and giving them scripts and examples of, exactly how to do that.
Okay. And got another great question coming in. As partners, in a lot of cases, have relied on face-to-face marketing, events, etc. What advice have you got in terms of setting up a program to help our partners become more digital? Who wants to step in on that one?
I'll jump in there. I think it's a combination of teaching them. I mean, if they have a smartphone, they can very easily make a quick video that talks about pain points and business outcomes and how to solve things. I think it's also ensuring that they feel like it's their content, like they're not just leveraging yours, like they are learning from you, but then also marketing out and selling out to their end customer as well.
Yeah,
So
no,
we've
I'll jump
always,
in
yep,
as well.
sorry. Go ahead,
Was just using simple things I've seen done over the past few months is using MDF dollars to give them, funds to help with stuff like that. It's quite effective as well. Just, changing what activities they can use their funding for to lend to the current climate.
To some extent, vendors have used what we've always called concierge services or virtual partner marketing people to assist either to, again, it's depending on the capabilities of that particular partner, to assist them with running some of these newer, more, what I would say, a little bit more complicated campaigns, because they may have a whole buyer's journey to them that they need to help them execute and do the old, train the trainer, teach them how to fish, whatever metaphor you want to use there, but educate them on how to do this life cycle selling, keeping customers all the way through the purchase, then telling them, and then here's the time where you can enter in with a solution on upselling them or cross-selling them or increasing the capacity, and ultimately get them to the point where they renew that solution, at whatever the renewal period is. That's a lot of training to do, but a lot of partners are really looking for their people to be educated on that process.
Okay, maybe this one is one for, again, for Chanan or Ken. And the question is, we're being urged to be far more restrictive in terms of the marketing activities that are allowed through our partner programs. Is this common today?
Yeah, so what I've seen with the guys that run their MDF programs through our platform is I wouldn't say it's more restrictive, but they've definitely changed the types of activities they support, again, to lend itself to running. Obviously the face-to-face events are gone, but revectoring that towards helping them get webinar enabled, run webinars, support them on doing that, and some of the other activities that Kristine and Heather covered already. But no, I haven't really seen it. I wouldn't say it's restrictive. It's just re-pointing or revectoring what they can use the funds for.
Mm-hmm. I would agree on the MDF side. There is, because it can tie to so many different types of activities, you want to deliberately guide them to the places where they're going to be more effective. So I agree with the way Ken positioned it. It's more directional than it is restrictive. On the rebate side, I don't really see any material change at all, frankly. I don't see any restrictions of any kind.
Okay. Anyone else want to come in on that one? No? Okay. Another question. Ken, you talked about ease of doing business. Can we be really specific? Can the panel share 2 or 3 ideas that really make it easier for a partner to do business with a vendor? So maybe Ken, as you started with that one, if I could start with you on that one.
Sure. So, a very specific example I'll think of is, say, take something like partner leveling. So a vendor has a partner program. A partner wants to know where do they exist in that program and what are the values of being on gold versus silver versus bronze, for simplicity's sake. Having that program automated, and these programs are getting more and more complex as we move to things like monthly recurring revenue. It's no longer the old thing of revenue training. You now add in things like the number of deals I registered, the opportunities, customer adoption. We see so many levers coming into these programs. So having the ability to automate those calculations and present them to the partner externally on an easy to read dashboard, how am I doing against those targets in a picture? But equally as importantly, we find that having the internal view for the account managers and empowering the account managers to help the partners that are maybe on the verge of slipping down a tier or maybe moving up a tier, and nurture them or help them at the right time to get that extra deal or that extra certification or the extra renewal, whatever it might be. That's really moving the needle in terms of how you interact with your partner.
Okay, let me go clockwise on this one, and Chanan, do you want to jump in on this one?
Sure, there are a couple of things that fall into the category of making it easy for a channel to do business with a vendor. I think that one of the things that is often overlooked is the aspect of price. There's a huge portion of the high-tech sector where the prices are not predefined. Even if you are a platinum channel, still there's a huge amount of business that goes through SPA debits, special price requests, discount rebates, however you want to call it, where the price is negotiated by the terms and needs of the specific end customer. And so, you know, having the channel have to communicate with a vendor and they go through their machinations and then communicate that externally, and it's a iterative process, really impacts sales cycles. It impacts the quote unquote first call efficiency of the channel. Allowing the channel to self-serve in these processes and allow them to have automated tools on the back end that will actually resolve 70 to 80% of these pricing scenarios. Yeah. Has a massive impact on how quickly a channel can get a price out to their customer. And that is one area that we've had a lot of experience with dozens and dozens of customers of really transforming that whole experience and literally cutting deal cycles by 50 and 60%. That's one area. The second area, along the lines of what Ken said, it's not just about showing them what my payout is going to be and how am I progressing towards my goals. It's even one step before that. If you are a channel that is working with a big vendor that has many, many programs, how do you know which ones you want to bother wasting time on? Not all of them are equal payouts for you. So making it simple for the channel to figure out of the 50 or 100 options that I have out there, these are the 5 or the 10 that I really want to pay attention to and align my efforts to maximize my payout. That is another thing that I think is really, really important for the channel. There are a few other examples, but I want to let other people, you know, opine on this as well.
I would say 2 points. One, for communication 2, a lot of times we try to segment our list and have this communication go out to the technology person, this communication to the salesperson, this communication, or different types of partners. It's easier to segment different types of partners because hopefully at least you have that in your database, but a lot of times it's very hard to segment by role. So we would suggest that you put together a newsletter that allows people to self-select. So if you're sending something to all of your solution providers, you highlight, this is for marketing, this is for sales, this is for technology. By the way, a salesperson will not read an entire newsletter, so always have them in the top left. A technology person will read an entire newsletter, so have them in the bottom right. So being able to send one newsletter to all of your solution providers, or one newsletter to all of your MSPs, or one newsletter to just that specific GSI that you work with, it simplifies your life as the vendor, and partners, at least they're not then getting 5 different newsletters because you didn't realize that they had opted in for 5 different lists when they first signed on. For communication through, I would say the ease of doing business is all about simplifying. Instead of having these huge campaigns and these huge multi-touch, unless the system does it for them, allow a salesperson to come into that. You know, out of one side of our mouth, we say, here's this great through channel marketing automation tool. And from the other side of our mouth, we say partners don't usually have a marketing person. So if you can make that tool something that even a salesperson could leverage and use, that means it needs to be simple and fast and kind of do it for them, where they could leverage your great content, even if it's just one piece of content instead of a 5-piece multi-touch campaign, you are going to get a ton more traction with partners.
And Kristine.
You know, I'm looking at your time here and I'm thinking my colleagues pretty well covered this one, so I want to leave you time for us to have closing comments, I suppose.
So I'll add just two words: claimless processing. Don't make the partner claim the money. If you can calculate it and pay it out, just do it for them.
Okay. In that case, I'll start. We are almost out of time, so I will start with you, Kristine. If you had one final thought, an imperative that people should be doing to gain partner mindshare, what would that thought be? What should people be doing?
The one word would be analytics, around the business, but I have to say a few more words to surround that to do it right, because we all use that term. Being able to provide real, usable, make a difference to that partner type of analytics, provide them in a simplistic way. If you haven't developed an automation platform by which you can ultimately provide that, even if it's not right at this moment, but sometime very soon, you're planning on that, that's what partners will be looking for, and that's how they will close opportunities more quickly, and they will be able to also, just as much as we want the partners to have a wonderful experience and to provide us with loyalty, they want the same thing from those customers. So the more we can do that, the more I think that they're going to want to move forward with us on more deals.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to add to that, automation, there's so much of it out there now. I would say sometimes vendors think it's expensive, it's a heavy lift, it takes a long time. It's not really nowadays. It's very easy to automate your channel programs, your channel strategy, or your go-to-market through the channel. It's so much easier now than it used to be. Don't try to do this stuff yourselves. There are, good companies like ourselves and the guys around the table here that do this stuff. This is what we specialize in. And again, it's not difficult. So, it's definitely, don't try to do it on emails and spreadsheets anymore. It's crazy. Programs have become too complex. The channel has so many different partner types now. It's not worth it anymore. So don't be afraid to take the plunge.
Okay. Chanan?
I would say the word and a half would be insights to where the channel needs to spend their time to be profitable, and align your programs with those insights. That'll drive results.
Excellent. And Heather?
I would say leverage LinkedIn to engage your partners from your executives, whether your executives have time or you have an internal person or you hire an agency like Channel Maven. That's how you're getting more connection with partners.
Excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now out of time. So a huge thank you to Chanan, Heather, Ken, and Kristine for some great insights over the last hour. I hope you've thoroughly enjoyed it. When you finish, you'll see a survey coming up. Please do spend a couple of moments to complete that survey. And we have another webinar coming up shortly in the series. That'll appear on your screen momentarily.
Thanks for having us, Rod.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for attending.
It'll be in today's very different market. What do partners really want from their vendors? And that'll be on July the 9th. But Chanan, Heather, Kenneth, and Kristine, thank you very, very much indeed.
Thank you.
And there are a number of questions that we haven't been able to get to. And our panelists have very kindly said that over the course of the next 24 hours, they will answer those questions, and we will then have them posted up on the site by the end of tomorrow, along with a copy of the webinar. So thank you very, very much. Hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. And once again, thank you very much to our panelists.
Thank you. Bye-bye.